I'm John Hinkle, the senior pastor of First Presbyterian Church. This is your Saturday morning preview of your Sunday morning sermon. So we find ourselves on the third Sunday of Lent, and which means we're kind of like right in the middle of this journey. And so I hope and pray your Lenten discipline is going well and that you are coming closer to this understanding of our very deep and abiding need to be in the presence of Jesus. So the series of sermons we've been doing has been entitled Lord of the Dance, based on the hymn. As I've been writing these sermons, I've been reflecting on what I think is an amazing video on YouTube called The Dancing Man at the Sasquatch Music Festival. So please watch it. And give it a look. But our focus this Sunday is to dance. And remember, dance is depending on how you use it, is a metaphor or simile on living out the mission and ministry of Jesus Christ with Jesus Christ, dancing with Jesus as we live out Jesus's purpose for our lives. And this Sunday, we're going to talk about dancing when no one's watching. And our text is going to come from the Gospel of John. It is that moment when Jesus enters the land of the Samaritans. He goes to a village called Sychar, which is actually kind of the heart of Samaria. And just above is the mount where the Samaritans had built their own temple. They didn't worship in Jerusalem. They worshiped just outside of Sychar. And so as we've said before, and probably you know by now, if the Jews hate the Romans, they certainly do not like the Samaritans. And so already we can kind of feel John build this tension up. John tells us that when they get to the outskirts of the city, there's the public well where women would gather in the mornings and in the evenings to get water. And John's very specific. It's noon. And so the disciples go into the village to look for something to eat. While Jesus is waiting for them, a woman comes up to draw water. Now, of course, we know the woman is a woman, number one. Men typically don't interact with women in the days of Jesus. And number two, she's a Samaritan. Thus, she's a Samaritan woman. Again, we feel the tension. But Jesus asks her for something to drink. And yet in that conversation, what Jesus is really doing is offering her grace and mercy. Grace and mercy. Now here's the thing. Nobody's watching. Jesus doesn't have to do this, right? Who would know? Jesus would know. I think it is so important for us to understand that we are called to dance both in our public life and in our private life. As a matter of fact, I think that's the very heart of hypocrisy, right? When the public life looks nothing like the private life. And so that's the challenge we face. Are we dancing when no one's watching? Are we living a life that's pleasing to God when no one's around, when no one can hold us accountable? It's difficult. It's hard. In my sermon, I will admit, I have the hardest time at doing that, right? Because when no one's watching, what's to correct me? What's to guide me? What's to lead me down the straight and narrow? Well, ultimately, it should be our relationship with Jesus. And I will throw one more thing out before I go. If we read the rest of the story in text, and I encourage you to do that before you come to church, the Bible tells us that many in her village, many Samaritans in her village, came to know Jesus because of her witness. And therefore, our witness in private may be more powerful than our witness in public. So I hope to see you this Sunday. Let me also say and encourage you, remember we are still collecting our special offering for the Outreach Foundation. Charlotte sent you something Friday talking about how funds are being used to help Ukraine and the refugee crisis in the churches and members of those churches who still remain in Ukraine, even in the midst of this bloodshed and this horrible travesty. So I invite you to give and give generously. And I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Have a great day.